Hello, everybody. It's City Councilmember Augie Tulba. Welcome to the show. You know, when Tropical Storm Lala came through Oahu, we saw firsthand how quickly nature can change our lives and the power of destruction that storms can bring. It is important reminder that we all need to be prepared before emergency happens, not after. Today we're talking all about that and what we learned from the series of storms we've had, how residents can recover and report damage, and how we can better prepare for hurricanes, tsunamis, wildfires, and other emergency. We have Molly Pierce here, and she is the Public Information and Education Officer with the City and County of Honolulu, Department of Emergency Management. Molly, welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me. I'm excited to talk about this with you today.
It's a big topic. I mean, you know, there's a lot happening right now, and I think this is so needed. So, what do you want Oahu residents to understand about what happened, you know, during Tropical Storm Lala and the impacts we experienced on island?
Yeah, so during Tropical Storm Lala, I think something that people didn't really understand was just because the storm is south of the islands, that doesn't mean that we're out of it. The cone that you see in the forecast, that's just the dead center dot of where that storm will be. And a lot of these are really wide storms. And so we see a lot of wind, we see a lot of rain, we see those impacts, even if we're not inside the storm. And so that gives us an opportunity to really put our plans into action. We need to do that in order to keep folks safe, but that also hinges on the community understanding what they need to do. And so I'm really excited to talk about that today, because that's where we're going.
Look, I always tell people, like, you know, we cannot always rely on government. We got to, at some point, take responsibility. And that's what, you know, I did a video a couple of days ago just thanking my community. You know, because that's what it's going to take churches, going to take nonprofits, going to take small businesses, people coming together. You know, when challenging times come, you know, we cannot rely on government. Unfortunately, we have to learn how to, you know, do things on our own and work as a community.
Totally.
So thank you for coming by. You know, you work with the Department of Emergency Management. What do you want the public to know about your department and what maybe they don't already know about your department?
Yeah, so I think the first thing to know is that it's like what you said, government doesn't do everything. And what the Department of Emergency Management really does is we're the conductor of the orchestra. We don't play the flute, we don't play the cello. God, you don't want me on a trumpet. But we're the ones who, we know who has what and when it needs to go. When you see that conductor do the big swing and all of the instruments come in, that's the EOC activating. That's when we take all of those plans and we bring people together and we get in a room and we talk it out. And we say, okay, you got to go over there, you go over there. Bulldozer, talk to bulldozer driver. You know, it's very much about that strategic element within an emergency. We do a ton of planning and education ahead of time, which is mostly, education is my job, and I love it.
Yeah, I see you out and about trying to educate the public, because that's so important. You know, to get educated. So appreciate that. Yeah, and
it's great because then after we have kind of what the city can do, and we have the EOC, we also have something called a JOC, the JOC, the Joint Operating Center, where the first responders are together, and they're doing that in the moment, tactical, fire truck here, pick up the people kind of phase of rescue and response. And then in the EOC, the Emergency Operations Center, we're doing the more strategic, bigger picture, while they do the first responder portion. And we work together to really have that happen. But then, and you talked about this, and one of the things that's so important, people say, oh, government wasn't there. But you were there. You know, you were in your community. You will always be the first responder on your own street. You'll always be the first person there. And so the more we can do to empower ourselves and our communities to really know what we can do to be part of that collective system, because it's not just government, it's not just nonprofits, it's not just the state or the city or the federal government. It's everybody pulling together and doing their piece of it, so that we can collectively get through something and hopefully get better from it.
Yeah, no, I think that's so important. You know, And that's why, like, you know, people always ask me, you know, about my last 5 years in city government, because we started at the same time, Molly. You know how much we've learned to be better people. And honestly, I feel like I understand my community even more, and I can help in so many ways to make it better. So, like, yeah, this last 5 years has been amazing. Am I looking forward to ending my term? Yeah. but in the meantime, I'm going to keep working hard, keep, you know, educating the public. And that's why we do these shows, because, you know, this is the best way to get as much knowledge and help, you know, and the message out there.
I'm here for it.
So how does your operations center fit into the emergency response picture, and how do you work with the Joint Traffic Management Center as well as first responders such as fire, EMS, while who's under a natural disaster?
Yeah, so it's that coordination and collaboration element. That's really where we shine and we come in. Ahead of an emergency, we're the ones who are trying to get the plans in place, get people organized, and have the conversations in what we call blue skies. So when nothing's happening, have the conversations ahead of time, so we know what we might do. We plan for it, and then we, in an emergency, have the place and the physical space and the people together to have conversations to execute the plan or make game time changes, because we know that plans only go so far.
Correct.
We know that we need to be flexible, we need to be streamlined, and that's really the power of the EOC. And then you mentioned JTMC, the Joint Traffic Management Center. That's usually where all the dispatchers sit. So that's crucial. That's really critical. And they're working directly with the JOC, the JOC, the Joint Operating Center. We're really in alphabet soup here. But just think of it, it's a ton of people all in different places with a ton of different names working together on their little piece of the operation. And the EOC, their goal is to be able to kind of know what everybody's doing and see that bigger kind of 30,000 foot view.
Isn't it amazing how when we're in school, we learn how to evacuate for fires?
Yeah.
I remember doing all these remember that, Malia, when we were growing up? Me and Malia are the same age. We did all these, we know exactly where to go, you know, in case something happened.
Yeah.
You know, and then as we get older, we forget that, you know, having a good plan, not just for your family, but for your community, is super important. And you guys have all these resources, like you're saying, to educate. I like what you guys do with the whole tsunami preparation, because I saw, you know, the effects, and I just wish, guys, if you're watching, if there's something happening in your community, go. I mean, we grew up understanding that you need a plan.
Yeah.
Because a lot of people will panic, and that's why we don't have steady hands like the folks that you mentioned. It'll get chaotic when time comes. But, you know, being prepared, like Molly was saying, the blue skies, it's blue skies now. Now is the time to really focus and having a great plan. So what is the HNL alert system, and why is it important for people to sign up?
Oh, HNL Alerts is my baby, Augie. You know this. So HNL Alert is a really great product that the city, we contracted out. We worked with HNL Alert. It's built on a platform called Everbridge, which is like the industry standard leader for what's called mass communication. Fancy term for text messages and emails, essentially. But what it does is it gives us the opportunity to communicate directly with the people, with the public. You get information the same time we do for some of these things. We integrated the National Weather Service forecast products and then took those and created templates that automatically trigger that have information that would make sense for here.
Right.
And then we also, on the other side of it, we have messages that are manually sent. So someone clicks and sends them. They're almost always from me, so little love letter right there. And it gives people a lot more information more quickly. We can send links, we can send pictures, we can do maps. We can just communicate a lot more fully than, you know, just a press release or just a social media post, or having to look in a lot of places for information. It dings in your cell phone, and there you go. It's right there.
I was using that a lot to create AI posters so that the community, will get firsthand.
Perfect.
But again, you can just download the H&L alert on your
Yeah.
phone, and you can get everything, and you can be in the know the way Molly is in the know, the way I'm in the know, and that's the best way to do it.
Yeah, and it's kind of a choose your own adventure. You can, those books when you're a kid and you get to pick the ending.
Yeah.
It's a little bit like that, where you can decide what level of information you want to get, like how informed you really want to be. I turned some of them off because they were a lot. I don't need to know about jellyfish. I'm in the EOC. I'm not going to get to go to the beach. So unfortunately, I don't get the jellyfish warnings. But anybody can get anything from, highest level, there's a tsunami, a wildfire, whatever, all the way down to traffic accidents and jellyfish and, shark warnings. And it's anything that you want. And you go in and you can either pick all, turn on the categories on and off, or if you just want emergency alerts and you don't want to go through the hassle of actually setting up an account, you're not someone who cares about the, those more mundane daily things. You just want to know when there's an emergency.
Right.
All you got to do is send a text message. You don't have to do anything else. You send the phrase H&L alert to the number 888-777 and you're in.
Done.
You're done.
Yeah.
Pow. People hand me their phone and I do it for them. Sometimes I take the phone and do it, but not
So
very
all
often.
of you watching or listening, because we put this on MP3, do it. It's just simple, and then you can be in the know. And again, the whole thing is preparing, right? If you get these alerts, you'll be better prepared. Why is it important to prepare? We're talking about before the storm arrives, rather than waiting until the problem happens.
Yeah, so that's a big one. You all know we're on an island, we're in the middle of nowhere.
Yes.
And it takes a long time for things to get to us. So part of it is you need to be prepared ahead of time, because there are some things that'll happen without any warning, right? Tsunami, wildfire, those things you have hours to minutes to prepare. Things that have longer preparation time, like these hurricanes and tropical storms that just keep on coming.
Right.
We've got a few days to prepare. But if you think about it, the amount of time it takes a ship to get here from California with all of the toilet paper that goes to Costco, that ship takes longer to get here than the amount of time you have from when you find out there's going to be a hurricane. So all of the toilet paper that we need for the hurricane is already on island. It is not, new toilet paper is not coming from California. And that's a silly example, but it's true for all of our supplies.
That's right.
Everything's coming in by boat, and those boats are slow. And so if you wait until something's forecast, you're not actually increasing the readiness of our island.
Right.
You're just increasing your own readiness. You're saying, okay, I got the toilet paper now. But if you do it ahead of time, and that means that you already had it, and we increase the number, the actual volume of stuff we have on island because you kept some in your bathroom cupboard, that increases our overall readiness and resilience as a community, not just our own personal readiness.
Right.
And that's really where we want to get. The reason being, same as the preparation side, after the fact, we can't just drive in help from, the next county over the way they can in Alabama or
Right.
Florida or whatever, right? You see those kind of lines of power trucks all lined up on the freeway waiting to go into wherever the hurricane is on the Gulf Coast.
That's not how it is here.
It's not how it is here. And so it's not that we're on our own, because there's so many people out there who want to help. It's the physical reality of this wonderful place we call home. Everything that makes it so special is what makes it so vulnerable.
Okay, let's talk about preparedness. Now, the 14-day prepared, right? Being prepared 14 days. What is that, and how does that look like?
Yeah, so 14 days is really important because of the amount of time it'll take for something to get here. Also, our port, everything, if something gets bust, who knows when it's going to come back up, right?
Right.
Just, again, it's hard to fix these things. But 14 days, it doesn't have to be 14 days of gourmet meals. If you want to, I'm coming to your house.
Yeah.
But for most people, it's peanut butter, it's tuna, it's Spam, it's granola bars. It's the things that you're not going to need to cook, don't need refrigeration, and don't need a lot of water to prepare, because you also got to be storing your water.
Yes.
You need a gallon per person per day. And that's the minimum. You're not going to be showering at this amount of water. You're going to have enough to drink and enough to brush your teeth, pretty much. That's about how much you would need. So if you think about, packing, your kit is a whole bunch of ramen noodles, you need to account for the water for that. And that's a lot more.
Yeah. No, look, I don't know if I tell everybody, but I have generators. I'm prepared. I know, that's why. I don't want nobody.
Secrets out, my friend.
No, but I really do. And again, it's kind of like how you, if you live in a gourmet life, maybe you get more things that other people have. You probably could own a generator. You probably could stock away your stuff. But it's so important, those little things that we look at our stuff and we see empty spaces. Hey, go fill them up. Because the ones in the dry foods is so important to have if something bad happens to our island,
Yeah, and it's something where I don't need you to go out and do all of it tomorrow, right? Because that's a lot of money and it's a lot of space. And for a lot of people, that's just not realistic.
Correct.
So for those of us who can, Augie and his generator and his gourmet lifestyle over here. Me, I've got solar on my house, so I'm also in a pretty good position. But if we do what we can and we take care of ourselves to the best of our ability and our resources, that means that the city, the nonprofits, all of those people who hooey up to help those who cannot, the resources will go to the people who really needed it, not just someone who didn't bother to prepare.
And it's so important to get to know your neighbors.
Yes. Yeah.
We've lived in a society that's forcing us to squeal on our neighbors, with the way life is now. And, we tend to forget, and I remember growing up, if I was cutting my grass, my dad would go across the street, go cut the neighbor's grass.
That's so important.
Yeah, and I don't think we do that enough. And that's going to play a big role when it comes to if a storm or something happens.
Totally.
You got to know, who's that kupuna that live down the road? Their family, they got all their kids. Are they okay? And I just think, we, other than being prepared for 14 days, get to know your neighbor.
That's
Say
a huge
hi.
one. And I think people miss it, that if you're getting to know your neighbors, not only does it mean that, you'll be able to take care of them, they'll be able to take care of you, but what another element of that is it cuts down how much stuff each person's got to have, right?
Yeah.
If you have a generator, your next door neighbor doesn't need a generator. Maybe they go buy the chainsaw and and you can share, right? It's about figuring out how to best use what's around us and do that in a way that kind of brings human connection into it. And that is where we see after an emergency.
And that's the sad part about it, because everyone says that we lost our law. It's only through these disasters, what we saw in Honolulu, and the wildfires, that when there's something, that true spirit of the law, but then that should be lived every single day.
Every day, yeah. And
Every
people
day.
after storms, they say, oh, look, the system's broken. Look what the community's doing. And I'm like, that's the beauty of where we are, right? What we want to do as government is find a way to facilitate and support that, not take its place, because there is something about a community knowing its own needs and knowing what to do in your unique space that I'm never going to be able to know for every community. I know it for my neighborhood, but I'm going to come into yours and I'm going to do something stupid, right? You want to make sure that we're empowering the people who are doing the most good.
Absolutely, and so important. I just, with one person complaining, there's 5 other people that's doing amazing things that you don't know of, but we only hear this guy.
Oh yeah.
Or that lady.
It's easy to complain. It's
it's
hard to stand up and, be the voice of good.
You know what sucks about this right now? We have 8 minutes left. It's something that, and I think is needed. So I'm gonna have to have you come back so we can do this again. But let's get to what's super important, because we're in El Nino and we know that there's a lot of disturbances is happening. How can people prepare for that right now? What tools? I get like, what recovery resources or tools are available to residents, after disasters, and where can they go for find help?
Yeah, and so this is the same thing that we say always, and it's always true. It's 3 elements. It's building your kit, which we know. It's making your plan. And part of that is knowing what hazards will impact you, right? Whether you live in a tsunami evacuation zone or not, whether you live in the evacuation zone for a dam, if your house is strong enough to shelter in place during a hurricane. But then also, the parts of your plan, like who are you going to call? Where are you going to go? That kind of thing. So
your
you have
pets,
that. Yeah, your pets.
right?
Oh my goodness, do not forget the pets.
Yeah.
So important. Also, don't forget grandma. You got to think about all the people in your household and pets in your household.
Medication.
My dog is a people, so sorry.
Right.
But like, you got to think about all the things, not just the food, the water, the medication, the batteries if you have, CPAP or anything like that. All of the things. It's like the world's hardest camping trip, right?
Yeah.
You got to pack them all up. And then the last part of it is staying informed. And we talked about it with H&L Alert.
Right.
But there's so many ways to get good information. You put out fantastic information during storms.
I try my best.
Love it.
I try my best.
Yeah, and it's about knowing those resources ahead of time, right? Like knowing who you're going to look for information from, so that in an emergency when you're kind of panicked, you're probably low on sleep, high on adrenaline. None of us make our best choices under those conditions. And so the more we can do to be mentally ready and physically ready and just kind of click play on whatever, thing that we've planned, the better we're going to be, rather than trying to build the plane as we're flying it.
A lot of people sit around and watch Survivor. When you watch those movies, they go, I can do that. Well, it takes much more. I do that too. I go, I think I can live without my resources for 60 days.
How long have you made it? Ever trying?
No.
Have you ever tried gone in the backyard and not let anybody take?
No. My mom has done it.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Okay.
I had to scold her like, Nafa, come back. You're kapuna. Stop trying to make fire with sticks.
Oh,
Stop making
I
fire
love
with
that.
Sticks. No, but like, we all do that. We watch these kind of TV shows and go, or you prepping, right? Prepping is super important during this time. Can you explain to people what they should have in their bag?
Yeah. So your go bag is part of your emergency, your 14-day kit. So when I tell you you need one thing for your 14 days and one thing for your go bag, you don't need 2 of it. You don't need 2 weather radios. Just pack some of it in the go bag. So the go bag is part of your kit, right? And that's your most essential stuff. It's your important documents, prove who you are and where your house is, kind of thing after a storm. It's your base, just enough food and water to kind of get you through to wherever you're going to pull up in an emergency. It's having a bit of cash, because when power goes out, can't use credit cards.
Correct.
And then it's having kind of those other basics, like some sturdy shoes, a rain jacket. If you can, one of those little like foil blankets is really great. They pack down small, but you can use them to stay warm. You can use them to keep rain off. They're just really useful to have. They're also good if somebody has gotten hurt. They help prevent shock. So, if like you're evacuating and a tree falls and you break your leg, you want to wrap somebody up so they don't go into shock, that kind of thing. But then, things like a pocket knife, all those little things that, like, think a Boy Scout backpack on steroids. That's what you want your go bag to be. And then you want some way to stay connected. So you want your cell phone battery, like little battery blocks, some extra chargers. If you can, a NOAA weather radio is a really great option. They make the ones with the little crank, and then you can charge your cell phone. Got a crank to charge, but you'll stay connected. And the great thing, and this is something we saw during Lala, is when the internet goes out and the TV goes out, how do you get your information?
Right.
A lot of times radio is the last thing, right?
If the antenna is holding up.
If the antenna is holding up. And so those weather radios, they're kind of they stay up the longest.
Right.
So in kind of the worst case scenario, that's kind of going to be that last way to get information.
Right.
Another thing I want to flag for folks is when cell signal is bad, and we've seen this in the last storm, text. Don't call, don't be scrolling Instagram to see what's happened. Text somebody and stop using up all the bandwidth on everybody so that everybody can try and at least connect and let their people know they're okay. But don't be streaming a football game or whatever during a storm and using up all the bandwidth for people who are trying to let people know they're okay.
Molly, you know, we are coming to an end.
I can't believe it.
I know, right?
Time flies.
It does. And I just wanted to say thank you for joining us today and the important work you guys do. And yeah, we just really appreciate it. Is there a message, a simple message that you want to tell the people that's watching right now as we, wrap up 2 minutes? How do we do that? Because I feel like we skipped like almost 3.5 pages of questions.
Okay,
But anyway,
we'll do it once a week if we have to. We'll
That's
get them
right.
out. I think for me, the most important message I have for people is to just be ready. You know, take things seriously. You're not going to get hurt by over preparing,
That's right.
right?
Yep.
The more seriously you take something, the better off you'll be. Even if it doesn't happen, even if, you know, this projected storm doesn't come or, you know, the tsunami doesn't actually do damage, if you didn't prepare and something real happened, that's when you're going to get in trouble. And so taking things seriously so that you can do it now and you
Yes.
cannot be scared when it
Having
does
peace
happen.
of mind.
Yeah.
Having peace of mind for
It's
everything.
like bringing
so
the
important.
umbrella so it doesn't rain.
Absolutely. Okay, we want you guys to sign up right now, okay, for H&L Alert. Can you guys do that for us, please? H&L Alert. Or you can visit honolulu.gov/myhazards. Okay? Because, again, having peace of mind is super important when it comes to, because we're going to see how chaotic it gets. And, you know, we've ducked a lot of, very thankful to God that nothing bad has happened yet, but are we prepared in case something does happen? And that's why we do these shows, in hopes that you prepare yourself. Thank you so much.
Thank you
for keeping
having
Oahu
me.
safe.
Oh, yes, single-handedly. No, it's a huge team effort, and I'm so glad that you're part of it, I'm part of it, everyone watching is part of it. I think this is a really great opportunity to get
Can
the
you
word
believe
out.
we did 5 years in the city?
I mean,
Come on.
Here
Hey
we
guys,
go.
thank you guys so much for watching, and we'll see you next time. Aloha.